Welcome to the 30-Minute Growth Session, the show where transformation takes center stage. Hosted by me, Dr. Lisa L. Campbell, the Growth Motivator. Each week, we bring you dynamic guests who are all sharing actionable insights to empower your personal and professional journey. Are you ready to grow? Let's get started with today's episode. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the 30-Minute Growth Session. I don't know about you, but 2024 was, let's just say, a lot of fun. I grew a lot in 2024, specifically the last 4 months of 2024 really showed me how resilient I was, why it was important to have a growth mindset. So I am kicking doors open in 2025, and all the things that I thought I wanted to do, but I was afraid to do, I am doing them. So today, I am happy to have a guest who is not familiar or not unfamiliar, I should say, to our listening viewing audience because he was on our 52 authors, 52 weeks, which we're still doing each and every Saturday. So I do want to give a shout out to the book and then I'll bring him on in. But if you missed, and let me just make sure. All right, there we go. If you missed our 52 authors, 52 weeks episode where we had Rahul Karan Sharma on discussing his book, Habits for Miracles, Design Your Life Your Way, you really need to go and find that episode because as we kick off this new year, you really want to be intentional about your life. So, welcome back.
Thank you, Dr. Lisa. Appreciate your team calling me back for this episode. I'm very excited to share what I have experienced in the last 25 years working in corporate America with our listeners so that they can design their life their way.
Oh my goodness. You just literally hit a nerve with me when you said corporate America, because for those who don't know, for I would say about 20 years, I juggled corporate America and running my own business. And in 2022, I made a bold decision that I was no longer going to be held hostage by salary and benefits. And I decided to bet on me. And so, what I mean by that is, I had to give up the corporate job, the benefits, all the things that was really holding me back from reaching my full potential. And so now here we are, 2025. Has it been easy? Absolutely not. Have there been some days that I've cried? Absolutely. But there has been more laughter and more peace since I made that decision. And so let me just say one more time, Habits for Miracles, Design Your Life Your Way is an entire vibe.
Yep. And I think as you were saying about your journey, my journey is very similar. And this is my second year in my own business as a solopreneur, and it was not easy. And all entrepreneurs, when we talk and we meet with them, we believe it's so easy for them, or they're flying jets, or they are flying business class. But what they go through to be where they are is challenging, and it's important for us to, before leaving any comment or before thinking anything about that individual, we need to know behind the story.
Mm.
Very important. We so so here is, if for listeners, so if you ever are in an opportunity to help someone, help the person when they're starting their business. That is the time they need you the most. If you are a millionaire, billionaire, corporate America, wherever you are, if you are in a capacity to help your buddy, your people in your inner circle, help them when they really need the most, And if they're starting their entrepreneurial journey, they need you the most in their first 6 to 12 months. Once they are settled there on their own wings, then they may not need you. So if you really want to have that opportunity and show the gratitude towards them, help them early on when they start their entrepreneurial journey.
Oh, that's, you know what? That's actually some very valuable feedback. As I navigated my entrepreneurial journey over the last 2 years, or 20 years, I've been in two commercial office spaces. And when you move into a commercial office space, it's not like corporate America where everything is provided for you. You literally, depending on the setup, are going in, with your furniture,
Mhm.
having to connect your data cables and all of those things. And it literally takes a village. And I'm reminded of my journey in both spaces where friends and family definitely came out to lend a hand in some shape, form, or fashion, even if it was just bringing me some lunch on those days that I was going to be there for a long period of time. But one of the things I learned through those two office experiences is two things I learned. So number one, the next office that I am space that I'm going to be in, we're going to own it. So that's my number one takeaway, because my very last office, which I moved out of December 2023, the owner of the building was informed by the municipality that they wanted to buy the building so that they could tear it down and make it, they call it a green land. And so it's an area to collect water like when it rains. So now here's the funny thing. January 2025, I drove over there just to check it out. The building is still there, but I moved out December 2023. And at first I was a little sad, but then I was reminded of the transitions journey where you have to close one door in order for another one to open. And as I think back on 2024, I literally was in my bedroom September to December with a fractured ankle. So imagine if I was in that space, having to pay that rent, having to pay all those expenses, but didn't really have, the money coming in. So it definitely was a
Mhm.
blessing that I had moved out. So I
Absolutely.
I learned about having my own space, but the other thing is I really learned who was truly in my corner.
Hmm. Hmm. Yep, yep. And I think when you said about opening of door when one door closes, at times we don't see that happening. We just keep on moving. We just are so busy in the hustle and bustle of life. We don't take a pause. And I think sometimes it's important for us to take a pause, take a deep breath, and then move on. So I really like the way you mentioning about your experience, that something was there for you positive. God saw it, we could not see, and that's where you were requested. You got the ultimatum from the god to move out from that space. It was not the municipality telling the owner, it is a god giving you the instruction through him or her, whoever the owner is. So yes, sometimes we don't see why things are happening to us. We always believe that, hey, everything bad is happening to me, but that bad also has some good in it. So where my mind is going is about the mindset. Our mindset needs to be more positive. We cannot think that everything happening to me is for me. No, that is, if we go with that mindset, then we always be in a self-pity mode. But we need to move away from that mindset, that if something is happening to you, it would be for a reason, because I always believe whatever happens happens for a reason. So
Ooh, you're gonna make me cry. You're gonna literally make me cry, because when I think about the first office space I was in, I moved in with two other business owners, and we had a 3-year lease. We were going to just take the world by storm. And one of the business owners, so we moved in October 2019. and or 2018. And the one business owner, by December, he was gone. Okay, so then we get to 2019, and the other business owner, she was gone by February of 2019, which literally left me paying my rent and their rent. And it was a lot of money. And, thankfully, I did have the income coming in to cover the expenses, but it got to a point where one of my contracts had ended, and so it began to become a financial struggle. And I literally kept holding on, like just not paying a bill at home to pay the rent in the office. And I literally had to make the decision that I needed to, give up the office. I was in the office crying. But let me tell you what happened. When I moved out, 2 months later, the pandemic hit.
Mm.
So imagine if I would have been in that space during the pandemic. Business was actually pretty good during the pandemic, but it would have been a challenge to do business, to have people come on site. And so I'm grateful for that experience so much that October 2023, when that landlord came to me and said, have to give you a 90-day notice that the office is going to be, torn down. The day he came in there and told me, really nice guy, I literally said, okay, and started packing that day. You see the difference in my mindset,
Mhm.
from that
Mhm.
first office, I was crying, but
Yep. Yep.
I kept growing as I moved from one month to the next, one office to the next. And I know without a shadow of a doubt, it's mindset that is
Mhm.
carrying me through, but not just mindset, right? Resilience and persistence. Those are my tools on my tool belt that I carry with me each and every day.
Absolutely. I think you really nailed it down when you mentioned about this example. It's so profound. And many of us, Dr. Campbell, we don't realize who we are. And when we don't know who we are, we don't know how we can grow. What are the things that will help us to grow? So, for example, if you need to grow a plant, you know that you need to put water, you need to put proper seeds, sunshine, everything. We know it, and someone would have taught us that, right? But if we don't know how we can grow, then we will not do anything. We will just be stagnant. So, it is so important for us, in order for us to grow, we need to be self aware about our own self, who we are, why do we do what we do, and for you to do that, there are multiple free online assessments that are there that will tell you who you are as a person. There are multiple exercises you can do. Just go through your life experiences, think about all the learnings you had, all the amazing experiences you have been through, and you can identify why you do what you do, what you like. And when I say what you like, is not about the color or the car. It's about your inner things. What kind of environment you flourish in? Are you an introvert, ambivert, extrovert person? Who would you work well with? What kind of team you need to have in order for you to be successful? So being aware about us, and the unfortunate part, Dr. Campbell, is according to Forbes research, only 7% of leaders in corporate America are self-aware. Only 7. And when they did another segment, when they did the gender-based assessment, they found that 19% of female leaders are self-aware and only 4% of male leaders. So if as a leader, if I do not know who am I, how I can grow myself, then how can you grow others? So get to know yourself. It is one of the most important thing for you to grow in life, or personally and professionally.
Wow, you just literally tied together something that you don't even know that you tied this together. So as you know, having been a guest on 52 Authors, 52 Weeks, I interview, all these different authors who have written amazing books on different topics. But on top of that, I do weekly book reviews for books that I'm reading for my own personal growth and development. And some of the books that I've reviewed, such as The Strength Finder, which is an assessment, is a book, it's an
Mhm.
assessment to help you figure out what your own strengths are. But I just have literally, week after week, read one book after the next. In fact, one of the books um, that I read on New Year's Day. Now I know you're probably thinking, New Year's Day you were reading? Yep, I spent the whole day reading. I was reading this book by Deion Sanders, and let me just tell you what the subtitle of this book is: Elevate and Dominate, 21 Ways to Win on and off the field. And in the book, you may be thinking, oh, he's a football player. I learned football player and a baseball player. Um, but he's talking to leaders about how you lead your teams. And if you don't know yourself intimately, you cannot effectively lead your team. Another book I read, Servant Leader, right? We
Mhm.
don't need leaders that are just like, do this, and this, right? We need leaders that are willing to serve their teammates. And I say teammates, and actually Deion Sanders talked about this in the book. If he's coaching someone together, we're on a team. If you're leading others, you're on a team together. No one is higher than the other, right? We can all learn and grow from each other. And so, one of the things that am actually challenging leaders to do, number one, take 30 minutes a day to do something that helps you grow, whether it's read a book, whether it's do an assessment, in addition to, the other things that we have to do, take a
Mhm.
walk, meditate. I have found that there are so many tools that you can use to help yourself grow, that it's a shame that the whole world isn't just growing.
Absolutely, absolutely. And you rightly mentioned that 30 minutes on a daily basis, because all it takes is consistency. Most of us, we fail to do something because we lack consistency. And I learned from my coach that consistency is not always about taking the perfect steps or taking the right steps. As long as you are taking imperfect steps but you are consistent, that is a growth for you. You get better 1% every single day. If you can focus on doing that, then I think then sky is also not the limit. You can do wonders for yourself and people around you. And you are a living legend when you said about reading the book on Jan 1st. And I learned from my parents, Dr. Campbell, that you need to do good things on Jan 1st. They inculcated that habit or that belief that if you do good things on Jan 1st, first day of the year, the likelihood of you doing rest of the year is very high. So going to a church, going to temple, eating healthy, being healthy, going to gym. Now, it will not help if you stop it, but you can be consistent with those things. So I think the other aspect that I would want to share with our audience, Dr. Campbell, is once you are aware of who you are, then the other piece for you is to know about your own mindset, whether your mindset is positive, your mindset is negative. And people, when I go to these events, people ask me who you are. And when I tell them that I'm a mindset coach, oh, you are that mindset guy. And suddenly it triggers me, oh my God, what happened? What I got to know is there are so many people who are posing as a mindset person or mindset coach that the gravity of this word is getting diminished. But mindset is the most important thing for us as human being, because it is mindset that will make or break us. And for you to know your mindset, you just need to do one thing: is just spend 5 to 10 minutes, review your last week, and just ask few questions that whenever you were tasked to do something, were you positive or you were procrastinating? Were you pushing things away or you were excited to do things, make things happen? If you are excited to make things happen, it's a positive mindset. If you're procrastinating, moving things away, that's where it is a pessimistic mindset. So once you know your mindset, then it is fairly easy for you to move things and grow yourself.
Oh my goodness. So you just said something. I'm pulling up my phone because on my calendar I have some intentional activities. So let me just share a couple.
Mhm.
So, number 1, every morning I have on my calendar a note that says I am enough. And this is a constant reminder to myself that God created me as who I am, and I am enough. So that's the first thing. The second thing is I have two calendars, right? Because you have your personal calendar, you have your business calendar. To some extent, mine are one and the same. But the other block that I have on my calendar is called, I want to get the right name that I have it listed, Wealth Creation Review, where I'm looking at, and I actually have this on Tuesdays of every week,
Mhm.
where I'm looking at how I'm creating wealth. And it's not about money per se, it's about reminding myself, am I intentional about my physical wealth? Am I intentional about my spiritual wealth, right?
Mhm.
And so it's those little tiny habits that we do that
Mhm.
make a world of difference. And I read this book, and I can't think of the name of it right now. And I have so many books, right? If I probably have close to 400 books, but and 400 and growing, because
Growing.
52 authors, 52 weeks is gonna
Mhm.
be here for as long as I can physically do it. But it talks about how if you do something 1% per day by the end of the year, that's
Yeah.
365% of
Right.
growth. So
Mhm.
it's just those little things. But for me, I have to have the memory joggers on my devices because, I'm going to go into my calendar. So it gives me an alert every day when I wake up. I am enough,
Mhm.
right? When it's time for me to create the wealth creation, I still remember I am enough. But the other thing that I do, and I have my iPad, but every night at 9 p.m., I make sure that I am in my bed. And what I'm doing on my little notepad on my iPad is I am looking at my list of things to do and making a decision about what I'm going to do that next day. And what this has done is freed me up from trying to multitask and do 10 different things at one time. I'm intentional about what's my goal for the next day so that I plant that seed in my mind right before I go to bed. And then when I wake up and go through my, ritual of getting ready and meditating and all the things, I know that this is what I'm supposed to be
Mhm.
doing today. And I focus on that. And then once I get that done, I can go back to my list of things to do to see what else small things I can accomplish, that day. But I make sure to get rid of that big item, and that helps me chip away at my list. But I also realize as an entrepreneur, I can't do everything. I read a book called Who Not How, that talks about you got to get a bunch of who's to do the work that you need them to accomplish. And as a business owner, you need multiple who's to help you make it through the day, make it through the week.
Mhm. Mhm. Absolutely, absolutely, and that's where your people of inner circle, your group of people who are supporting you on a day-to-day basis is very very important. And knowing what you cannot do is also important. because sometimes we think that we can do everything. And for example, social media. Now, social media is a beast.
Whew.
It's very very different, and the algorithm getting changed every now and then. There are so many platforms, and mastering all the platforms, it's a nightmare. So how you can be intentional about that, and then the way I would recommend people to be intentional, and it has taken me a lot of time, and I would not say that I'm still perfect there, but at least what I have zeroed down is my one platform where I'm absolutely spending more time, and which is for me is LinkedIn. uh, yes, when I started my business, people tell me that okay, you have to be on Facebook, you have to be on Twitter, Insta. Yes, I do have my accounts there, but prominently I'm focusing on LinkedIn. So for you listeners, from a growth perspective, you need to identify what you can do and what you cannot do, because knowing what you cannot do is also very very important, so you do not put your efforts in the wrong direction. Focus, always recommend my coaches to focus on their strengths rather than focusing on your areas of improvement. You make your strength so strong that your areas of improvement start looking weak. So focus on your strength and take that strength to another level that will allow you to be a more grateful, that will allow you to have that growth that you truly deserve.
Oh, I love that. And so, earlier I mentioned, and I'm looking in my phone because this is where everything is. I mentioned the Strength Finder. And when I did the Strength Finder assessment and the results came back, and I was sharing them, with different people, and I'm going to read you mine. They were like, are you surprised that those were your strengths? So my 5 strengths are learner, strategic, achiever,
Mhm.
responsibility, and intellection.
Mhm.
And as I started to look at my strengths, I was like, yeah, this is me. And when I sent it to others, they were like, yeah, you needed an assessment to tell you that. Well, part of the growth process is to be a forever learner, right? And so I'm constantly challenging myself to learn something new, and something that I realize that has been happening for decades. There's a lot of great information in books, but many people don't like to read books. And that's where all the gold is. It's in the books, right? It gives you the tools that you need to be successful. I have a book on my shelf that I'm going to be reading very, very soon, titled What Winners Won't Tell You. So
Mm.
I'm constantly seeking knowledge that helps me grow personally. But as the growth motivator, it helps me when I coach others because I'm coming to them from a place of knowledge, but I'm also coming to them from a place of love and a true desire to help them grow. Right. So it's not just about me, but in order for me to help others, I have to first help myself.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I think the title, What Winners Won't Tell You, one of the things which is coming to my mind, and I've not read it, is if you want to be successful, it will not come to your on a platter. Okay. It will come with a lot of hard work. So there is no substitute of hard work. I understand today's Gen Z or the Gen Alpha or Gen Delta, they want quick wins. But I always believe and still believe that there is no substitute of hard work. And number two, you need to, whenever you are being asked that what you want to do, you need to also think that in order for you to do something, you need to think differently. It's not always about, there are two things. There is one is you do different things. That is one thing. And the other thing is you think differently. Both are important, because if you keep on doing same thing again and again and not getting result and getting frustrated, it's no good. So you need to keep doing different things. Maybe let's say for example, when I started swimming for my fitness, I realized that when I do free stroke or butterfly, it consumes a lot of time and it makes me tired. I cannot do a whole lot. Versus when I do a backstroke, it is more comforting to me. It is more soothing to me. So for me, my aim was to stay in the pool for longer time. So I removed butterfly from my regime of swimming. I do more breaststroke and backstroke. So that I was, if I would not know what will it take for me to stay more time in the pool, then I would have not done this. So I did things differently and I did different things. So it's very, very important.
Wow, I love that example. So, listen, our 30 minutes are up. Is there any final words of wisdom that you want to share with our listening viewing audience? And then, of course, you must tell our listening viewing audience how to find you. I know you mentioned LinkedIn, but they need some specifics about that. So, those two things.
Yes, yes. So one thing I would say or leave you with this thought is believe in yourself, be bold. And bold is an acronym that I've created. Is B is believe in yourself. O is optimistic. L is love yourself. And D is dream big. It's very, very important for you to dream. You need to believe in yourself. You need to love yourself. And you need to be optimistic. There is so much of negativity around you that you cannot get away with that negativity unless and until you keep yourself positive. So be bold, be kind, and just do things that you love. When you do things that you love, then it's not work, then it is a passion for you. For you to find me, you can find me on LinkedIn with my last name, Rahul Karan Sharma, or my full name rather, Rahul Karan Sharma. If you Google Rahul Karan Sharma or Habits for Miracles, you will find ways to connect with me. I'm looking forward to hearing from you and getting an experience of what it takes to see that growth mindset coming in your way.
I love that. Well, listen, everyone, this has been another weekly episode of the 30-minute growth session. We'll see you next week. Everybody have a great week. Thank you for joining today's episode of the 30-minute growth session. Growth happens when we take action. So take the insights from today's show and turn them into impact. You're just one step away from the next level. If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Let's grow together. See you next week.